Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's good to see everyone. Good to be in person. It's been a while since that has happened. My name is Heidi Green. I'm a senior project manager in the Office of Real Estate. Our agency is the Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance. We shorten it to a DCAM because it is a mouthful. I have several colleagues with me here today, and I am going to let them introduce themselves. Paul, would you like to start?
Thank you, Heidi. Paul Crowley with DCAM, Deputy Commissioner of Real Estate and Leasing.
Ganesh Ramachandran, Deputy Director of Planning.
And Stephen Andrews, Director of Real Estate, DCAM.
Thank you. At this little table right before me is a sign-in sheet, if you could sign in there. There's also a graphic of the Quincy District Court site. On the graphic, there is a link to the webpage that DCAM has for this particular project for the new courthouse in Quincy. And there's also an email address that we have set up specifically for this project, so anyone that wants to send written comments to us, please feel free to do so. We will be accepting comments for 14 days. So if you'd like to, please do so within that time frame. That would make the deadline May 3rd. So the email address is Quincy, DC, as in District Court, acquisition.dcam@mass.gov. Those comments will be directed to me. I will be sharing them with DCAM's Commissioner, Carol Gladstone, as well as our Office of Planning, who's also, while we're doing the acquisition, they're also doing the planning, and after the acquisition, they'll be doing the design. And we'll also be sharing them with our partner, the trial court. Also, at the one of the other handouts is the notice that was published in the Quincy Sun as well as the Patriot Ledger. So feel free to take any of the handouts that are there. The purpose of the hearing is to inform the community of this acquisition transaction that we're engaged in. We're seeking to acquire the 2.5 acre parcel that the Quincy District Court is presently on. This parcel is owned by the County of Norfolk, and they are the landlord to trial court. So as a result of an analysis that was done in 2017, the Quincy District Court was identified as a courthouse to be replaced. In order for us to build a new courthouse, we need to acquire it first from the county before doing so. Part of our statutory requirement is that we read the notice that has been provided. So bear with me for a couple minutes while I read it. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts Division of Capital Asset Management and Maintenance hereby gives notice that pursuant to Section 37 of Chapter 7C of the Massachusetts General Laws, this public hearing is being conducted to disclose the conditions and reasons for the proposed purchase of this 2.5 acre real estate located at 50 Dennis Ryan Parkway in Quincy. The property is owned by the County of Norfolk and currently used for the operation of the Quincy District Court. As a result of the analysis and the Massachusetts Court Capital Master Plan conducted in 2017, the Quincy District Court was identified for replacement. The property is going to be acquired by the Commonwealth so DCAM and trial court can construct a new modern court building. And this is the purpose of the hearing that's taking place right now. Also, another statutory requirement pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 7C, Section 37, DCAM has notified the mayor, the city council, the county commissioners, the regional planning agency, and members of the general court to let them know that we are engaged in this acquisition of real property, which is located within these agencies' jurisdiction. That is the formal part of our hearing. We're going to open it up for comments. Whoever has any questions or comments, feel free to come to the mic. I will put it on in a second. I just ask that everyone be respectful of each other, and I don't think timing is going to be an issue due to the number of people who are here today. But if you could state your name and your address and before commenting, that would be good. I would like to remind the audience that this public hearing is specifically for the acquisition of the property. Simultaneously, my colleague in planning, they're doing a study Once we complete the acquisition, the study will be certified, and then we'll go to design. So if there's specific design questions, we might not have answers for you, but I just wanted you to know that this is specifically for the acquisition. It was just one of the requirements we need to do before we get into the design process. That being said, there's also, once we go into design, there will also be an opportunity for the public to participate in that. We don't have specifics for that yet, but that will be coming. And we will be notifying the city and the planning department and look for public participation in that. With that being said, I'm going to see if there's any federal officials in the audience, any state officials or local officials who would like to speak. Okay, all right. So anyone who has any comments or questions, feel free to come up to the mic. I am going to put it on right now, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Bill Zamzow, 356 Washington Street. My question to you generally is why this parcel? And why I'm saying that is it's not big, and depending on what you're planning to build, there's been talks as much as 200,000 square feet for a full-on justice center. Something smaller lately, it's kind of bounced. You don't have a lot of room to work here. We're talking about building a ship in a bottle, and then a ship in then a ship in the bottle in the captain's cabin. I don't see how you're going to be able to do much unless you pick up the 5 parcels on Foster Street, which I would have to guess would be another $5 to $10 million without batting an eye. At the same time, there is significant open property just the other side of the Stop and Shop building where they used to have a parking garage here in town. They've had 3 different attempts to try to develop it. Nothing's happened. And I would suggest nothing's going to happen anytime soon. You could take that property. I'm not sure what it would run, but part of that lot was sold to the city for $1, and it was fully bioremediated. There's also a 15-acre parcel in Crown Colony, which is right next to the 93, 128, 90, Route 3Y, as well as there is an existing shuttle from the Quincy Center T station, or Quincy Adams T station, and a couple of bus stops, so you got some good connection. It wouldn't be as ideal for public transit as Quincy Center might be, but Dedham, Quincy Center doesn't work for people that would be coming in from Dedham, but it'd still be a big improvement over, I guess you're still doing probate and family in Canton. And my question is, what have you looked at for alternative sites? Because like I said, I can think of 2 off the bat that would be easy peasies. Anyway, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. That is an excellent question. When we started our search for sites in 2019, and as most residents of Quincy know, this is a hot real estate market. Our process at looking for sites is we like to cast a wide net. So at the beginning, our planning division said we want to do a new courthouse in Quincy. It's due for replacement. We need a site in Quincy, and it needs to be 2 to 4 acres. There actually wasn't anything for sale that fit that criteria at the time. I was a resident of Quincy at the time, so at that time Lowe's was going out of business. I said, that's a pretty good site. It's across the street from Quincy Adams. We looked at that site. There's several sites that were also suggested to us by the city, by the Quincy Adams T station as well. It might be the same one that you're referring to in Crown Colony. There is a selection criteria for new courts that we take a look at. And one of them is that we like to stay out of the flood zone. The site that we looked at Crown Colony, there was quite a substantial part of it in the flood zone. I think there might be wetlands out there as well. The selection criteria that we have, in addition to not being in the flood zone, is that courthouses like to be near public transportation. You're right, Quincy Center is great because it has commuter rail, it has subway, and it also has great bus access. They also like to be near public parking garages. The city built one across the street, But this evening, I used President's Place, and that is a relatively big garage, too. It has about 1,100 square spaces. It has good vehicular access, and also courthouses like to be in a civic location. You don't get more civic than being the birthplace of two presidents, being a block away from City Hall. On Washington Street, you have the public library. So those are some of the factors that went into the decision, as well as the existing site has been a historical use as a courthouse. So that's some of the highlights of the decision-making that went into selecting the site.
Vinnie Coyle with the Ironworkers Local 7. Question about time frame. Is there a time frame when you like the project to kick off? 2 years from now, a year from now?
From a construction perspective? Right, so we're completing our acquisition, should be the summer of this year. My colleague Ganesh is finishing up the study that they have that gets certified, and then it goes into design. We anticipate the design phase is going to be approximately a year to a year and a half. And then it would be probably a 3-year estimated construction duration.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Feel free to take the graphic, and there is an email address there, so if you think of something once you leave the hearing that you want to find out specific information, or you have a comment concerning the project, feel free to send it to that email address, and trial court and DCAM will be looking at those comments very closely.
You want to keep it open for about 10 minutes or so?
Okay. We'll keep it open if there's anyone that's thinks of something or someone comes in late, but I'd like to thank you, everyone, for taking the time to come here this evening. We appreciate it. All right, if no one has anything further, we're going to adjourn the meeting, and we'd like to thank you again for coming this evening to hear about our project, and again, feel free to send us comments. Thank you.